All right, welcome everybody to the Blueprint on How to Turn Goals into Achievement podcast for students. I am your coach and speaker and host, Andres Ruiz. And today I have the privilege and the pleasure of having a gentleman here that I connected with. And I see that he's doing a lot of amazing things for our youth. And I'm very passionate about the youth. And that's why I love bringing people on like Jay on the show, because I really believe that they're going to be getting so many insights from a lot of these higher ed professionals. So just to go over, his name is Justin J. And I didn't ask you your last name. What is he? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Guillory.
Guillory. Okay, thank you, man. And is the Assistant Director of Leadership and Services at Texas A&M University Commerce. He's earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in History with a minor in Social Studies, as well as a Master's of Education in Educational Leadership with a focus in student personal leadership. I love that. And Jay has also served as the Collegiate Advisor for Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity, Inc., Zeta Iota Chapter. He's skilled in public speaking, team building, Microsoft Office, mentoring, and leadership development. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, for sure, man. And a lot of good stuff that you're doing for leadership development, which I think is so crucial for our future. So thank you for doing that. And just to kind of get things started, Jay, I want to ask you, I always like to have the guests brag a little bit about themselves, because I think it's important that we brag about ourselves from time to time, and that's okay. So I want to ask you, what would you say is your superpower?
Superpower. I think it would be my ability just to connect with people. When I first meet people, I'm always tend to be shy. And then once I kind of warm up, I connect easily with people. And I think I can say that from my previous role that I was in, like leaving the institution was very bittersweet for everybody because we were so connected. And I was so connected with them, and I was always eager to help. And I think once I kind of get a little bit into this role, that superpower of being able to connect with people has kind of benefited me as I'm meeting more community members within commerce, but also within the the A&M commerce community as well. So I think my connectivity is definitely something I consider to be a superpower.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I agree with you. Connectivity is so crucial for our success, and especially for our youth. Teaching them those skills, that's part of being a leader. Having that I call it a skill set, being able to connect with people, I really believe is like a lost art. And we need to teach that to our youth more, especially with a lot of the distractions that we have with social media. It could be very difficult to have and teach that to our youth when it comes to communicating in person like this. So thank you for sharing that. And then, kind of just give us an overview of the work you do as the Assistant Director of Leadership and Services.
So yeah, in this new role that I'm doing, I'm responsible for on the service end of it. We have a annual service opportunity called Operation Blue and Gold. It happens in the spring, where I kind of partner with community members, and we do a bunch of service projects. And this year will be my first year as we're getting ready to plan for next year. This will be my first year doing Operation Blue and Gold. I'm responsible for planning alternative breaks, tracking our volunteer students' hours and that engagement that they have within the community, as well as just kind of working through some leadership opportunities for our students. So one of the things that I've already started working on just getting here is an opportunity for our students called I Experience, where we're going to take them off to a camp within the first couple of weeks of school, because we know the first 6 weeks in college is very important to get students engaged, because that will determine if they will stay in college or not. So we're taking them over to a camp, and we're going to do a bunch of leadership development opportunities and activities to allow them to learn more about themselves as leaders. It is for emerging leaders, but anybody can be an emerging leader, whether they're a freshman or a sophomore or junior or senior, depending, and now they're ready to become leaders. So the opportunity. Also, create opportunities around voter engagement and voter education, and educating our students around that piece, and critical social issues around just what is going on in society, and working with others in the community to kind of talk about those issues and help our students learn a little bit more about how they can be a part of the process, whether they are United States citizens, undocumented students, as well as our students who are international, allowing them to find out ways to be involved in voting outside of the actually going to the booth and casting the vote.
That's awesome, man. That's some good stuff that you are providing for the youth, especially this whole opportunity for them within the first 6 weeks to keep them engaged, letting them know about leadership, but then also I think it's also important to teach them that, you know, they matter and that they belong, because I notice a lot when I do speaking for the youth where they feel like they don't belong and they're not feeling heard. But when they're feeling heard and when they feel belong, that's when you start to build a community of people that are feeling like part of something special. And it sounds like that's what you're bringing to these youth. Volunteer work, that is amazing. I love that, because I think it's important that we teach them the importance of service. When you serve other people, some way, somehow, that service that you gave away will come back to you. And not necessarily like in money, but like opportunities, people in your life, a lot of love, a lot of great relationships. So I really love what your program is doing for our youth, because it's something that is very much needed more than ever nowadays. So thank you for sharing that, man. I appreciate that. So, you know, I want to ask you, like, for students that would be interested in having a career, for example, like with what you do, higher ed, or just when it comes to going to college, what would you say it takes to be successful at what you do? And, you know, and when they're going to college, like, what would you say it takes to be successful in that?
So I'll start off with going to college, and then I'll kind of backtrack into the career in higher ed. So with going to college is personal drive, but also a support system that allows you to be successful. So I will say my family, while I think they're very tired of me going to school because I'm actually working on my doctorate right now, they have been the most supportive people that I know. They support me, even though half the time they don't understand what's going on or they don't understand my degree. I think we've come to a point of conversation of, okay, you have a degree in history, I understood that, but these last two that you have, I don't know what's going on, but I'm supporting you. And that's the important piece is having a support system. So rather, and it doesn't necessarily have to be family, because my support system I just have a supportive family, but also outside of that were high school teachers that I had. And then when I got to college, the people that I met through TRIO, I'm a product of TRIO. I was in student support services when I was at Northwestern State University. My TRIO advisor, Dr. Jamie Flanagan, was one of the biggest supporters that I had throughout my college career. She supported me every step of the way. And if it wasn't for her, I think from somebody I can go talk to that's been in college and has done college, I don't think I would have made it, because while my family supported me, they didn't understand the whole aspect of going to school. So having someone that I can literally go in her office and say, I am tired, and allow me to be tired in her office, I really appreciated that. When it comes to a career in higher education, a lot of us who come into higher ed, we didn't expect to do this. I wanted to be a college history professor. So yes, I'm in higher ed, but I'm not where I want to be at. I wanted to teach history, and then somehow I fell in love with being a part of student affairs, our student engagement, our student life, whatever, your institutions calls that area. And what it took me to be successful was that I just kind of had to get in where I fit in. Honestly, when I was a resident assistant, I gave it my all. When I was in Greek life, as you mentioned, I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma. And with that, I took opportunity that came with that. So I like to always tell the story of random happenings that happened. And we were at a risk management training on a Friday that started at 1:00 and that went on till 8:00 that night. You can about imagine, as college students, we were all mad because we were like, it's Friday. And at Northwestern State, we end the classes at noon. So we were done with class at noon, but we had a risk management training from 1 to 7 at all of Greek life. All of Greek life had this training. And went through the training all day. And then the facilitator, I actually knew her. And she was like, Jay, what's the plan? Because she knew I was graduating. She's like, what's the plan after graduating? And I said, I'm going off to grad school. I'm going to go to East Tennessee State University, work on my master's in educational leadership with a focus in college student personnel. And she was like, okay. She's like, East Tennessee State? I said, yeah. She's like, hold on. So she calls our other facilitator. His name is Trey. And Trey comes and he says, I graduated from ETSU. And I was like, whoa. So, okay, small world. He was like, well, here's my card. Here's my email. Text me. I'm going to connect you with my mentor. Then at the time, this particular person was dean of students. And when Trey was there, he was the dean of students. And then so happened that this person became the associate vice president for student life and enrollment at TSU. And Jeff did me a favor and he sent my resume out to the whole division. And that was by happenstance that I met someone who went to ETSU. But had I not gone to this training or been involved, that probably wouldn't have happened. And my supervisor, my previous supervisor, Ms. Karshana Martin, reached out and we interviewed. I'll never forgive her for the 7 a.m. interview that she had me for my graduate assistantship. It was 8 a.m. her time, 7 a.m. my time in Louisiana. And then later that day, she offered me the position to come and work with her. And literally what it took for me to be successful was that I just kind of got there and I got in and I got fitted in with the community and I met people and I got connected and I continue to put myself out there. Even to the point that, the president of the institution even knew who I was and the work that I was doing within the Multicultural Center. So it's all about impact. Impact is very important. And how you have to come up with how are you going to create that impact for yourself and what does that look like for you? So going to college, support system, but a career in higher education, it's also a support system, but it's also about what are you looking to get out of it and give impact to who?
Man, ooh, that was good stuff. That was a bunch of golden nuggets right there that definitely was very helpful. And you mentioned a lot of things: people, environment, connections. Again, you mentioned connections, how you mentioned earlier, and I know that those connections have helped you out tremendously to get to where you're at. And when it comes to connections, I think about like mentors and people who have impacted our lives. And you mentioned some people that have impacted your lives. So, but tell me about like how did you kind of told us how you found your mentors, but how did these mentors help you on your journey? You mentioned a little bit of how they helped you, but how did they help you on your journey? And like any other mentors that you would like to give a shout out to for helping you along the way?
Yeah. Definitely, I think a lot of my mentors, except for like one, I was very adamant about one of them. He is his name is Dr. Michael Snowden. He is the vice president for inclusion and diversity at my undergrad institution. That office was newly created in 2020. So when I was at Northwestern State University, he wasn't there, but I was very adamant about watching the work that he was doing in Northwestern, and I wanted to get in locked with him. And I was adamant about reaching out to him. So he was one of those ones that I was like, he's going to be my mentor, no matter I'm going to find a way. And it worked out, and he's actually my mentor now, and he's been great, and a lot of knowledge he has given me. But a lot of my other mentors, it just happened. Karshana Martin, one I mentioned earlier, she was my supervisor, and she also became a mentor of mine, and is still a great mentor today. She supports me in every endeavor, and literally has pushed me to be better, even when I felt like I was doing enough. She pushed me to do even more. Dr. Jeffrey Austin is also another mentor of mine who literally would just push me to be better, but also, made sure that I didn't overextend myself. He helped me actually learn how to say no.
Wow.
Dr. Jeff Howard is another mentor of mine. Great person. He's the VP, Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs at University of North Carolina, Pembroke. He was the one that helped me get my start in the field. Many others. There's so many more I can name, but those were the ones that made incredible impacts on my life and in this particular field. Just watching their careers and how they navigated through higher education and to see where they are now was something that was very impactful for me. And they allow me in what they just the conversations, like sometimes just being able to pick up the phone and celebrate the good, but then also sometimes just say, look, I'm tired. And they allow me to be tired. And I appreciate that sometimes. When I received this position at Texas A&M Commerce, the first two phone calls I made was well, after talking to my mom, the next phone call I made was to Karshonda, and the phone call after that was to Jeffrey. And both of them celebrated me. And then we had a checklist, and we went through the checklist, and everybody was like, okay, everything checks off. And I appreciated their support and always saying, let me know what I can do for you.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. And I like how you said that they gave you the okay to be tired. Like, you know, it sounds like they gave you the space to be stressed out, to be not okay, because many times we have to wear a mask like everything is okay, or we're doing good, or no, you got to keep pushing forward. But somebody to be there to show you that love is so powerful, because they really care about you and they know the struggle. Like you said, family and friends, they wouldn't know what it takes because, or what it's like, because they're not in there. And but these people, they are, and they know what it's like. So that's why they gave you the opportunity to say, hey, it's okay to be tired. But then what I also loved about one of your mentors, how he said, say no. It's okay to say no. That right there is so powerful, and not a lot of people are using it, because when you do too much, you are going to burn out. You're going to say yes to everything. You're going to try to people please, and then you're not going to be able to be pleasing yourself, be happy. So that's a beautiful lesson that your mentors have taught you. And I'm glad that you had these people in your life, because had you not had these people, where would you be? Because those little simple tips, but yet very powerful tips, are like game changers. So
yeah, and I mean, one of my other mentors, Brandon Johnson, as well. He's currently in transition to a different institution, but he as well, you know, him being mid-level in a sense, and most of the people I named were senior level people, or are in some form hired adjacent now. But Brandon being someone mid-level and very close in age, and also I can say too, don't think that your mentor has to be somebody who is in senior leadership. No, your mentor can be somebody who is maybe a few years above you in the field, because they can offer you some insight that maybe the senior level person who's probably been in senior level leadership for a while can't. But Brandon definitely offered just times to say like, hey, Jay, let's check in. Sometimes he'll just call me, or he'll just text me, or like if something's going on. And like recently, yesterday, I had to take a quick trip to the ER for some pain that I was having, and he saw on Instagram, and he texted me, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, yeah, "I'm good." But that's the personal side of our mentorship, is that he's also a brother, a frat brother of mine. So he, you know, is always checking in and making sure that I'm okay. But, you know, just being able to have those conversations, have those mentors are great, even if you don't talk to them every day. I can tell you, I don't talk to Prashanda or Jeffrey, or both the Jeffreys, or Brandon every day. But just those times that we need to pick up, I need to pick up, and I just need to have a conversation with them. They, you know, we always try to make time to at least check in.
love it. Yeah, man. Oh, that is so cool. It's so cool to have people that support you. And I know I used to not have that support system, but now I have more than the support system. I have family, and that's what you build. You build family, community, people who care about you, people who love you, and it's because you also care about them too. Because you're a very caring person. I can tell that by just this conversation, and that's why people care about you and appreciate you, because you appreciate and care for them. So I love that about you. So just a final question. Why is it important to stay hungry and humble at the same time when you're pursuing your goals?
It is important to always stay hungry, because it always gets you thinking about what's next when you're pursuing your goals. But always be humble. I think being humble allows you to not become arrogant. For me, I'm not going to say I learned that the hard way, but at one point I wasn't humble. I knew I just knew I was good at what I did. And some days I was like, you need to remain humble. And I had to remind myself, and that was conversations with friends that was like, stay humble. You are good, but you don't ever want to make yourself feel as if you're it, because there is someone else that could possibly do your job. Now, can they do it as, you know, better than you? You know, probably so, probably not. But there is someone that can do your job, so always stay humble. It's important to always just stay hungry. I think one of the best advice I ever got from an institute that I was in is that don't chase the title, but chase the work. I prefer chasing the work over the title. When taking my current role, like I mentioned earlier, I was the number two in my previous role, and I'm not even the number two in my office that I'm in now, but I was chasing the work. Because the work is what's important. Leadership development is important to me. Service is very important to me. So I was chasing the work. When you're hungry, as you move up in your field, whether it's in higher education or if it's in corporate America, chase the work and not the title.
Nice, man. That was fire. And we'll end it with that right there, because don't chase the title, chase the work. Whoo, that right there is fire right there. So I love it. So man, I just want to say thank you again, Jay, for being on the show. This was very insightful, a lot of golden nuggets. I know that a lot of the students that are listening to this and a lot of the audience that's listening to this will definitely gain a lot of knowledge from your insights. And I just want to say thank you to the audience as well for watching the Blueprint on How to Turn Goals into Achievement podcast for students. We will be seeing you on the next show next week. Have a great day. Peace.